Oh hi! Welcome to another Minecraft video with me, Cold Oatmeal. Welcome to part 3 of my little Let's Build series out here in the flooded city. Now last time, if you missed it, we did a bit of terraforming to lower the seabed here. Then we did a rough sketch of our city skyline with all the white concrete buildings here. Now if you're interested in that process a little bit more, go check out that video. But as promised, today we'll be working on this building right here. Now today I want to do everything for this building to make it look really like a finished product. So this is going to happen in 3 stages. First, I'll build the whole thing up as if it were completely new and pristine in the pre-apocalyptic city. After that, I'll be ruining the whole thing and damaging it like it was just after the apocalyptic event. And then finally after that, I'll be adding all the separate little structures and additions that the scavengers and the survivors would have built out of the ruins. So to get started, I think I'll come down here, I'll lay down this road and kind of shape stuff out, and I'll bring it back once I've done that. Okay, so we've got our road paved here, and we got a parking lot, and we even have an abandoned truck that I've added in. And I've also gone ahead and done the first 2 floors of our apartment building. Let me just do a quick tour of what we've got so far. Now down here at our entrance, we've got some mailboxes, we've got our desk and our lobby area. I do plan on adding some offices kind of, I think, in an attached building right over here. But we'll probably do that in a different episode, maybe one where I'm doing a lot of small buildings. The rest of our base floor here is taken up by the staircase, a couple of elevator shafts, and a little cafe. I thought it might be nice to have a small cafe or coffee shop for the residents to have. Let me just zoom up to the 3rd floor here, because this way you can see kind of the floor plan layout that I'm going with each floor of apartments. As you can see there before, they're about roughly the same size within just a couple of blocks, so I think this will work out pretty good. They're all just studio apartments, which I feel is quite common for larger cities, especially in the more downtown urban areas. Coming down to the 2nd floor, I just want to do a quick little tour of each of the rooms. Pretty basic, got a little table, a chair, a little kitchenette, a really small bathroom if you use your imagination, a bed. And I run into a lot of issues building underwater because a lot of the blocks that I used to decorate with, they can't be waterlogged. Either they break off or they look funny. Like beds just can't be waterlogged, or banners, the top part can't be waterlogged, which is a big bummer, so I can't use like curtains or drapes or anything anywhere. Doors also can't be waterlogged, but trapdoors can for some reason. I really don't get that one. But because of that, I've had a lot of building constraints that I normally wouldn't. And a lot of them just don't make sense to me. Like, I understand not being able to place redstone and buttons and that sort of thing, but come on, banners? And doors? You should be able to waterlog those. Moving on to our next room, we've got another kitchenette and a bed and a little table and bookcase and a painting, which I can't understand why paintings can be waterlogged. Next one. This kitchen is really cramped. Got 2 beds in here, a small little dining area, I guess. This one only fit a shower, so no bathtub in here. And the last room, pretty much the same as all the others. This one has a coat rack and a desk instead of a little dining area. And the bathroom is pretty much the same. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna go with for all the floors heading all the way up. I think I'm just going to keep them all the same. Pretty simple and easy for me to do with this first building. I've never really built a skyscraper before, so I thought I'd just keep it pretty simple for the first one, and maybe as we go on and do more of the skyscrapers around our city, it'll get a little bit more complicated, a little bit more interesting. But to save myself some time, I'm going to pull out my wooden axe here and use some world edit, because something that's super nice about world edit is I can just come over here, grab this block, and then come over to the other side and grab this opposite corner here, and I should be able to just copy and paste all of these floors all the way up, and it'll be super quick. So part of the reason why I have these blocks here is so I can stand in the same spot. I just type in copy and come up here, look at the same spot, and type paste. And yep, our floor has been perfectly duplicated all the way across. Let's see, it has messed up my stairs here, so I'm gonna fix that real quick. Okay, now I've done that, I can come back and reselect my region here, from here this time, and come all the way across and select here. And then I can do my slash copy and my slash paste, and it should be all correct now. It looks like it. And then I can just come up to each of these and really quick just paste it all in, just like so. And it should be super quick and easy to just paste in the entire building this way. Oh, okay, now we're running into an issue where everything is waterlogged. Let me undo that. Yeah, I'll have to do something different for the top here so that the water level stays where it ought to be. Okay, got that all figured out and fixed. I actually had to realign all of the floors because I'd missed one row of blocks, and so it made everything super weird. Had to redo it all. Wasn't too bad. And sponges were actually pretty effective at getting rid of all the water on our top floor here without actually messing up any of the water underneath, because it just filled itself right back in. So I do have a couple of blocks left over at the top here. I'm just going to remove those. And now it's about ready to get started on the kind of ruinification process, whatever you want to call it. Basically, I just need to go through and make it look like it's been abandoned for a long time, like there was this, a flood actually came in. And along with that, I'm actually going to be damaging or removing a lot of the furniture, especially in the upper floors. I figure as scavengers and survivors were coming through, all the really accessible materials would have been looted and repurposed to build their homes on top of the building and other rafts and that sort of a thing. But as we get down lower and closer to the bottom, it's not as accessible. Fewer people would have spent the effort and the time and energy, or even might have not been able to get to the lower floors to get those resources. And so those will probably be pretty intact. I think there'll be a lot more foliage and growth, like seaweed and that sort of thing will be growing in there. But all of the beds and furniture will still be more or less in place. And so the outside of the building will also need a lot of work. A lot of bricks be taken out, windows missing, that sort of a thing. I'll take care of that, and I'll bring you in once that's done. We can get started finally on building our survivor structures on top of and around the building. All right, now that's done, we can get to work on some of the more exciting bits, some of the things that's going to make this build a lot more unique. And so I've made a few notes here about some of the things that I want to include, some of my thought process. I feel like this whole city is going to be a large community, but each of these rooftops are going to be so isolated. Not everyone's going to have a boat, going to have the ability to easily travel from building to building. And so these little micro communities are going to develop. And so descending down into the bottom here, I have a few ideas. You can see I roughed it up quite a bit here. There's tiles missing, carpets missing, or completely torn out in the case of this room here. But I think that the top of this building, the upper floor, I guess, is not going to be prime real estate. It's really close to the water level, and I feel like it's just going to be water seeping in all the time. It's going to be really damp and mildewy. Things you don't want to get wet will not be here. Things that can get wet or poor individuals could live here. So this room I'm going to dedicate to fish storage. I think that the fishermen coming in will be able to dock their ships, unload all their fish, and whatever they don't need to take for themselves, they can send into the market that's going to be elsewhere into the city. So we've got that here. Over on this side, we can do more fish storage, also like fishing supplies, so extra rods and ropes potentially be stored here, or maybe someone has a workshop here or above this room. Over on this side, we could have our boat building materials. The shipwright shop proper would probably be above because he has a lot of tools that you wouldn't want to get wet, but a lot of other supplies that could get wet can hang out down here. Boats are meant to get wet. Moving on to the final room, I do think this will be kind of a communal housing area for kind of the poorer people, or maybe the fishermen who don't stay on dry land most of the time. They just need a place to sleep in the night, or if they're spending multiple nights on the water, they might have a bed there, and they just might want somewhere not on a boat to sleep once in a while. So with all that, I think most of the people will be living up on top of the roof and structures that they've built themselves. I think it'll be a lot drier that way, a lot brighter too, pretty dim down underneath. But without further ado, I think we'll get started on building this, and I'll see you at the end of that time lapse, and I'll do a little bit of a walkthrough with what I decided to put in here overall. Now I'm just going to give a little bit of a tour before we finish off the episode today. So coming on this side, I figure the fishermen will come in. This will be a nice little drop-off zone where they can unload a lot of their fish, the things they caught that day. Inside we have a lot of storage space. We got the fish in some barrels and in the chests and all that sort of fun stuff. And so after they unload, the merchant who's selling fish at the large market area for everyone else, he can come over with his barge and pick up all the fish and then cart it off away into the marketplace. Next up here, we have another little small docking area, and this one is actually for just general fishing supplies up in here. We got loads of crab pots, different variations. These are supposed to be like buoys for the crab pot, so you can, find where you've dropped your pot down and be able to pull it back up. Extra fishing rods, that sort of a thing. Here we have a fishing rod repair station, or crafting station. And then next, along here, we've got our shipwrights kind of shack area, which is a little bit spread out. You can dock here. Right now he's working on a birch boat right here. We have like a table saw, workbenches, that sort of thing. Inside he has a lot of raw material storage, more ways to cut down the wood. We have paddles up on the wall, and then he can actually go right up here into the main village area, which I won't explore too much right now, but here we have a tarp and more building supplies, that sort of a thing. So we come right back down here, and this is kind of the main docking area where visitors would dock into, or I guess fishermen who aren't unloading, just where you'd keep your boats tied up long term. Got some lights up here, and there's two ways into the village. We got this door here that I'll take. We got our elevator shafts blocked off. And this is our final room inside, which is just kind of a general housing area, community housing. So I think maybe single individuals who don't have families, or like the fishermen who are gone for most of the day, they'd be in here. Inside we have our little chamber pot with some toilet paper. And then we have a way up into the main village area. And I really tried hard to just mix all the blocks up and just have this kind of chaotic feeling of they're just taking whatever scraps and materials that they could find and slapping onto their house to keep themselves a little bit warmer and drier. And I feel pretty satisfied with the way it turned out. It has a little bit more of a cartoonish, playful feel, which is another thing I was going for. We have a ton of vegetables inside this house. There's just a ton of stuff, some beds. There's a way up into a small cooking area. And then this other house over here again, just really crammed in, storage where they can put it, any sort of things that people would consider valuable to them. This one has the crane on top of it, and so the controls, there's the crane. So the controls are down in that building right there, and I feel like that would be kind of where the shipwright would live. You'd be able to operate the crane to bring supplies up or down, or a finished boat. Any other supplies that the community might need could also be brought in by the crane if it was too heavy or too big to be brought up the small staircases that we have. So there's that small tarp, like those blue plastic tarps. I have a few of those kind of around. This is supposed to be another blue tarp. It's hard to kind of convey that sort of thing in Minecraft, but I think I did an all right job. This house is up on stilts. A couple more beds. But the way that I've organized this town, I've tried really hard to make it feel kind of enclosed from the outside world, but still very open and inviting in this inner community area. So the only house that I have really in the middle of everything is up on stilts, so you can still see through to the other end of the building, and it just really enhances that tight-knit community vibe that I'm trying to go for here. Yeah, we'll just keep going in these houses. None of them are super unique. I just shoved stuff where I could fit stuff to try and make it feel lived in and used. Over here we have like our water treatment area. So there's this pipe here, brings up salt water into this bin here, and in between them, science happens, I guess, and purified water comes out, fresh, clean water that you can drink. So they'd use it for their crops and for drinking water, for cooking, because water, it would be, despite appearances, a very valuable commodity material resource, whatever you want to call it. Up here, we have just a little bit more, one more building up here. Just really mishmashed and thrown together with whatever resources were available. This way, I'm considering maybe joining up with that building, having a narrow rope bridge to connect these two buildings and have sort of two communities. That's this area all finished off, I think. I might add a few, really small minor details, just mostly more boats to really make it feel a lot more busy and like there's a lot more going on outside of the small rooftop community areas. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think, and let me know if you have anything you really want to see for the next episode. I'm really open to suggestions. There's a lot that I could do now. I could work on some roadways. I could do some small underwater buildings and just spend the whole day submerged in the ocean. I don't think I'll do an entire other building in a single episode because that was kind of a lot. It took a long time for me to get this episode out, and I'd like to put them out just a little bit more frequently and maybe make a little bit less progress in each episode, but that way you're getting them more often. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about that sort of a thing, and until next time, this has been Cold Oatmeal.
Let me show you who I can be when I'm in power. Never see what you will believe. I got the power to perform your negativity. I'll sing it louder, 'cause I'm in power. I'll sing it